All right, so I'm just going to turn things over promptly to Tom Fredetta from the Tompkins County Library. Tom, thanks for doing this for us, and look forward to learning a little bit about the services that are available at the library, the digital ones particularly. So welcome. Take over.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for reaching out and inviting me to participate. I'll be upfront and honest with everybody. The main service I plan on talking about today is the Libby app to borrow ebooks. Ebooks come in two formats. There's books to read, text-based ebooks. There's also books to listen to, the audio ebooks. To simplify things, I'm just going to refer to both as ebooks. And then if people have a preference, but they would listen or read, we can talk about that as we move along. I was just talking with Zach. Has anyone used Libby yet? Is any Libby users out there? Okay. Okay, so about 3. My next question was going to be, do people plan on using their personal computer to borrow ebooks, or do they have like portable devices like smartphones and tablets?
I have an e-reader, Nook.
You have a Nook?
I have
Okay.
a Kindle and I use my computer and my phone.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I use my phone.
Okay.
I have a phone.
Okay. Because so Libby is basically an app that you would borrow, or I'm not sorry, you wouldn't borrow the app itself. You would download the app from your device's app store. The Nook is a special case. I'm not sure how much I can teach Nook today, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had a problem with it years ago when I first got it. I wanted to get onto the library site, and for some reason the format didn't address it.
Yeah. So basically the challenge with Nooks, and it's been the challenge since the beginning, is the Nook requires you to download the book to a personal computer, then plug your Nook using a wire from the Nook to the computer itself. Then you would drag the file from the computer to the Nook. And that's not really something I can teach via Zoom.
Okay.
So Joanne, if you're comfortable with the idea of visiting the library in person, we're mandating that people do wear masks. We could talk about a one-on-one in-person Nook lesson.
Well, are you going to talk about downloading to the computer? Because I could certainly do that. And
so what's nice about Libby is, if you don't mind reading or listening on your computer, there are no downloads required. Libby, you would visit the Libby's website and you would just stream the book on the computer itself. You don't actually have to download any actual information. They're kind of moving away from actually downloading the books.
No, you were just saying that with Nook.
Right, that Nook is kind of the exception.
Okay.
To be able to take advantage of ebooks on your Nook.
Okay. Nobody else has one, so don't even bother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So one step I was talking with Zach about is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so for folks who don't necessarily already have Libby on their device, I'm just going to do a demonstration of how to download an app to your device. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Oh, Zach, it is saying only the host can share. I don't know if you can grant me like a co-host permission.
Yep. You are now host.
Thank you. Okay, so let me try this share screen. Start the broadcast. Okay. Is it working? This is where I can never tell if it's actually sharing or not.
Not yet.
I can't. see
There we
it.
go. I see a countdown now. Okay, sharing your screen. Good. And are you still able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so here we are. I'm sharing my screen. And I mentioned for those who haven't actually put the app on their device yet. I mean, I have an Apple iPad. So on an Apple device, you would go to the App Store. And then you would just search for the app called Libby. So I search for Libby and I see on the right side of the screen, it's got the purple color scheme going on. So it says Libby by Overdrive. Now, if you notice on my tablet, instead of having the download icon, it says open, because I already have Libby on this device. So I'm not actually going to download it again. But if there's anyone in the Zoom who hasn't done this yet, this is what you'd want to visit. You want to visit your app store and just tell the device to download Libby to your smartphone or tablet. So do we have any questions so far? Are we all on the same page?
Mhm.
Okay, so if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to open the Libby app at this point. Are you still seeing everything okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so now this, when you first download Libby to your device, and then you open it for the first time on your device, you get this welcome screen. Welcome, thousands of public libraries offer ebooks and audiobooks for free. Okay. Looking around the middle of the screen, it says, first question, do you have a library card? And I probably should have mentioned this as we were getting started, but if you do have your library card handy, you're going to want to have that card number with you, because if you haven't already set up the Libby app, this is what we're about to do. So first question, do you have a library card? I'm going to go ahead and tap where it says yes. And then I always encourage people, when I sit down with them one-on-one, the middle option in the middle of the screen, it says you can look up your nearest library by name or city or zip code. So I'm going to tap where it says search for a library. And then because Tompkins County Public Library is a part of the Finger Lakes Library System, and it's the Finger Lakes Library System that actually administers this service on behalf of its member library. So I'm going to use the Ithaca zip code, because that's where the Finger Lakes Library System is headquartered. So I'm going to type in 14850. And if you see, it says matching libraries. We have Finger Lakes Library System. If anyone happens to have access to Cornell's libraries, you could also add their library to Libby, and even the Southern Tier Library System. But for now, since I'm guessing you all have Tompkins County Public Library cards, we're going to focus on the Finger Lakes Library System. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. Okay, how are we doing so far? Pretty good?
Fine.
Great. So now we have the Finger Lakes Library System homepage in Libby. And I'm focusing on the right side of the screen. Again, with the purple lettering, it says sign in with my library card. So if we all have library cards, we're going to tap on that next. Sign in. And so I'm going to go ahead and enter my library card number.
So you need the letter, is that right?
So yes, when you're signing in with your library card, the first letter is the letter D. That can be upper or lowercase, that doesn't really matter. But everything after the D, those are numbers. So those are zeros and zeros and then the other numbers. So I'm going to do next.
On my card, oh, all right. So you don't need the space in between the numbers.
Oh, good question. Not all. The older cards actually have a slight space between the two, or some people actually have a D001 card. or D002, leave that space out. That's a great question. Don't type that space. In the next field, it's asking for my PIN. Usually the PIN number that we established for our library cards are the patron's last four characters of their phone number. Patrons do have the option to change that on their own if they like, but if you haven't changed it, just use the last four digits of your phone number. I actually changed mine, so I'm gonna enter mine.
Okay, I already have a question here.
Okay,
I can't see what I'm typing in where it says PIN. And I've had trouble with this before. I'm using the phone. And of course, then you have to have little tiny fingers, which I actually do, but it still doesn't seem to work. So I can't tell, like it's just rejected my PIN. And
Okay.
I can't tell if I typed it in wrong or what. I'm going to try it again.
right. If you look at my screen, there should be little dots indicating that you've successfully typed a character into that field.
Yeah, but if you type the wrong character, you can't see it.
Right.
Okay, I think it worked this time. Okay,
Okay, great.
never mind.
I'm gonna go ahead and sign in with my PIN number real quick. Okay, so I'm signed in, and if you see on mine, I have the green and blue Finger Lakes Library System library card. Just below the library card, it says rename card. So that's why if you just signed in for the first time with your library card on this app, it probably won't say your first name there. It'll probably have the D000 number. If you want to switch that, you can tap where it says rename, and then you can enter a name in there if you'd like. Or you can just leave it the library card number. That's up to you.
Now, is this going to
Okay.
be referred to again in the future when you're trying to take out books, the name?
Good question. I did a similar Zoom ebook training yesterday with a patron, and the one thing we talked about was once you've signed into Libby with your library card, there's no need for you to sign back out, and
Okay.
it shouldn't sign you out at any point either. So as far as renaming your card, you don't have to. Renaming the card is handy if you're in a household with multiple family members who are maybe using the same device. So maybe you have a library card for mom, dad, son, and daughter, and you'd want to maybe designate those names on each card to kind of keep things straight. But if you're not using a shared device, renaming the card isn't exactly necessary. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's definitely handy for families who are sharing a device, but you don't have to do that. Any questions so far? Okay. So what I'm going to do next. So this is the home screen. And I'm done with my card for now. So if you notice to the top left of my card, there's a little turquoise colored back button. I'm just going to hit the back button real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't want to do that. I do want to stay signed in. I just forget how to clear that little message out of the way. Maybe I'll hit next to the bottom right corner of the card. I'm going to hit next. Boop. There we go. It's gone now. Okay, so this is the home screen. If you're using a tablet or smartphone or your computer, you don't necessarily have to choose that option. Yes, I read with a Kindle. If you do have a Kindle at home and you prefer to use the Kindle, we can talk about that a little bit later. In fact, I'm going to ask, does anyone here actually have a Kindle?
No, I don't have one.
I'm sorry?
I don't have one.
No one has a Kindle? Okay. I'm not going to worry about that part of it then. If you have a smartphone or tablet, it's just as easy just to go straight with the Libby app and not have to worry about any other applications. Okay, so at this point, we all have the Finger Lakes Library System app open, and you can see the logo in the top left corner of the screen. I'm going to focus in the bottom of the screen. There's a menu there. On the left, there's a magnifying glass. Just to the right of the magnifying glass is the library building. In the middle, there's 3 horizontal lines. Years ago, when I was helping someone with a technology session like this, they actually clued me in on the fact that the people in the web development or app development field, they call that a hamburger menu. Because if you look at the 3 lines, it has a top line, a middle line, and a bottom line. So it kind of looks like a top bun, middle beef patty or veggie patty, and then the bottom bun. So that thing in the middle is called a hamburger menu.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Do you have that screen up? Because I don't see it on mine. I'm not doing it with you because I'm using my phone.
Okay. Are you looking in the Zoom right now, or are you looking at the app on your phone?
I'm looking at the Zoom
Okay.
and I don't see a thing with the 3 lines.
Does anyone else able to see what I'm talking about in the Zoom?
Not anymore. I did a minute ago, but now I'm seeing.
Okay, I just switched from,
Okay.
I went back into the Zoom app itself.
Okay.
So for right now, I'm sharing the Libby app right now.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't know.
I noticed, Tom, I noticed that on mine, the taskbar on the bottom of my computer that says
Okay,
that are open
Oh, I see now.
was somewhat blocking it. So maybe move it up a little bit.
wonder,
I'm seeing it now. There's a magnifying glass, a library, and 3.
Oh, okay.
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 Thank you.
so I wasn't sure. So right now, like I'm using this iPad and I have it like horizontal orientation. I'm not sure if
I
it
have
will
it
help if I rotate it
horizontal, too.
like this. Does that help?
No, it's fine
that
the other
better?
way too. Both ways are fine.
Okay.
The other way was better. Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so right, on the left is the magnifying glass. Basically, the magnifying glass is your search. That's how you search for titles or authors. The library building, which if you notice, it's in full color right now. So that's the actual part that we're looking at. So we're looking at the Finger Lakes Library System homepage. So the library building itself is in full color. Like I mentioned earlier, if you choose to add other libraries that you're a member of, you would tap on library and you'd be able to navigate between different library systems. The middle of the screen is that hamburger menu with the 3 horizontal lines. To the right of the hamburger menu is 2 books in a stack. That's going to be your bookshelf. And on the far right is the clock. I believe that's your reading history. I don't actually use that feature very often, so we might have to explore that together. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is basically get to the nitty gritty. How do we borrow a book? So I'm going to go ahead and use the magnifying glass. And I'm going to just search. And I'll use one of the like super popular authors. I'll just search for James Patterson. Oops, I left the S out. James Patterson. Okay. Okay, so we searched for James Patterson, and what I'm seeing in the blue portion of the screen towards the left of the screen says everything matching James Patterson. There's listing 119 audiobooks and 88 books. So the 88 books, those are the text-based books that you would read. Now, if we look at the actual books just below that in the white area, one thing I'm noticing right away, like the first one, the black book with the yellow lettering, James Patterson and Alex Cross thriller. It's called Deadly Cross. Just to the right of the book's cover artwork, there's 3 lines. One says place hold, the other says read sample, and the third one says tag. So I can tell pretty quickly from all the titles, they all say place hold, place hold, place hold. So basically, James Patterson is still very popular because if you look at the first few results of his books, they're all checked out. So I'm just kind of scrolling until I find a title that is not borrowed. So I'm getting down to,
I see it now.
yep,
Chance.
yep, perfect. So right below First to Die, where it says please hold to the right of the First to Die cover artwork is Second Chance. And to the right of that cover artwork, it says borrow. Now, from this screen, there's actually two ways that you could borrow something. If you know for sure that you want to borrow this book, you can simply tap on the word borrow right next to where the cover artwork is. So when I tap that word borrow, it takes me to this screen. And then, so I have the cover artwork. Just below that is my library card. And if you notice in the library card, Finger Lakes Library System and Tompkins County Public Library card holders are allowed to borrow up to 5 books at a time. We're also allowed to place holds on up to 5 books at a time. So right now I have 0 loans on my account.
Are you
I have
just
one
doing
hold
this for the books that you want to read? Suppose you want an audio book of that.
Well, I'm going to show you both actually. So I'm
Okay.
going to start with like the book I just selected. That's a good question. The book I just selected is a book to read. In fact, in the
So
top
how do you
left
know whether
corner,
you can get it in audio, in audio?
right. Well, let me
Search the author, you got the
I'm going to
books.
back up one step here. In the top left corner where it says search results, I'm going to back up and tap that. What I want to try to do real quick is to give everyone a visual of what they want to look for if they're interested in a book to listen to. I haven't seen one pop up yet, but as soon as I do, I'm going to pause the page here. Come on. Here's one. Okay.
Where?
So I'm looking at the middle row, the one on the far right. It says First to Die. It's got like the
Yes.
red. Yep. If you notice, just at the very bottom of the cover artwork of that title,
It says 9 hours.
yeah, it says, and it's got the little earbuds. Those are like mini earphones. That's what that little graphic is supposed to represent, a
Wow.
pair of mini earphones. So that's what you're going to want to look for if you want to borrow something to listen to.
So then
Also,
you tap
bottom,
on that, then you tap on that and then place hold, or you just place hold and then you tap on the
right.
9?
Actually both. So let me go back to that original book I wanted to experiment with here.
It's all the way up at the top.
Yep.
Whoop.
Here we go. Okay, so yeah, so that's a great question. If you want to borrow the book outright, you would tap that word borrow and then tap that purple borrow button. Or I'm going to back up a step, just like I did before. Maybe you want to learn a little bit more about the book before borrowing it. You can tap on the book's cover artwork. This will take us to the book's information page. And if you notice, again, just below the book's cover artwork, there's the option to tap borrow a second time. But what I like about this information page, it has the description of the book, and just below it, if you notice on the left, also available as an audiobook. So I'm not going to explore that just yet. I'm sorry?
There's one there. It says also available as an audiobook. Okay.
Right, right. So
So
what I
you could
want to do
check-
real
You could
Go
check
ahead.
first and borrow and then see if it's also available because it didn't say it on the main screen.
right, right. So I'm going to just borrow this one real quick. I'm going to tap borrow. Boop. And then I'm going to tap the purple borrow button. So from here, it tells me you have borrowed Second Chance for 21 days. Notifications will tell you when your loan is due. I'm going to go ahead. I'm looking at the little turquoise colored dial to the left of the jacket cover artwork. That's the download progress once it's complete. So if you notice it now, it's been replaced by the Finger Lakes Library System's color scheme with a check mark. So this book has been added to my Libby app. I'm gonna, for this notifications, I'm gonna tap not now. Okay,
Can you explain what that means?
what the notifications?
Yeah,
Yes, I didn't want to cover it right this
Oh,
second.
all right, never mind. If you're gonna come to it later. then.
Yeah. So right now we have the book and it's giving us three options. We can open this book, we can keep browsing, or we can go to shelf. I'm going to tap open book. So now it's saying, how do you want to read this, in Kindle or with Libby? So I'm going to tap Libby. And at this point, depending on your device, if you're on like a computer, you can use the arrow keys on your computer, or if you're on a smartphone or tablet, you can just swipe left and right with your finger. Now, for right now, I've opened the book, but if you notice, there's a menu at the top of the screen and at the bottom of the screen. To close that menu, you just want to basically tap in the middle of the screen to collapse it. So I'm going to give that a quick tap, and you'll notice that the menu will disappear. So at this point, I've collapsed the menu by tapping the middle of the screen, and I can start reading by swiping with my finger left or right. So I'm just going to start swiping with my finger to get into the book. But I do want to, I'm going to reopen that menu at some point, just to kind of show you the different features as far as when you're reading a book.
Wait, Tom, just 1 second. I noticed that another person just ended up in the waiting room, so if you'd let her in.
And I'm the host, you're right, so I should admit them, I apologize. Sorry about that, hopefully
No problem.
Carolyn.
There, so should be fine.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Okay, so we're in the book. I'm swiping left and right with my fingertip just to turn the pages. But at some point, I'm going to pause and I'm going to tap on the middle of the screen again to bring that menu back. And the reason I'm doing this is because if we look at the very top right corner of the screen, there are built-in features that patrons can take advantage of while they're reading. Can everybody see the top right corner of the screen?
Yes,
Yes.
Because what I experienced yesterday when I was helping a different patron in Zoom with Libby, her participants window was blocking those different features. So I want to make sure that no one's participants windows is blocking their features today.
no,
Great. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if you notice in the top right corner, there's a little bit of, it's supposed to represent like a bookmark ribbon. So I'm going to give that a quick tap and let me know if you notice it turns instead of,
the bookmark ribbon.
I'm sorry.
I just see a circle with lots of lines.
Yep,
an
on
A,
the far
and a
right.
magnifying
I'm gonna,
glass. Oh, the
I'm gonna keep
magnifying
an eye on
glass?
that. Keep an eye on that part of the screen because I'm going to tap the bookmark ribbon right now, and you should
Well,
see
is that
that
the
it changed.
magnifying glass? Maybe I'm
No,
missing one.
The
of them.
one next to it.
I haven't
Oh,
tapped it yet,
now I see it. Thank you.
but as soon as I tap it, it should go from an outline of a bookmark ribbon to a solid black bookmark ribbon. So I'm going to give that a quick tap. Did everybody see that?
So
Yes.
wait.
Yeah.
I can't see what you're tapping. So were you tapping the little thing above what is now like the bottom of the black bit? I've got two things, okay? There's a
Right. There,
straight line at the top, and
Yep.
then it has a little wiggle on the right. And then above it, I have the circle with the lines and the magnifying glass, and then something else. So which one of those did you type?
It's the something else.
yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I'm going to try to explain that as best I can right now. So we'll call that one thing the something else. We're going to call that your bookmark history. And just below the bookmark history is the bookmark outline.
Yeah, I
So
see it.
right now it's shaded black. If I tap it again, it'll turn from black to just a basic outline of a bookmark ribbon. I'm going to do that again one more time. So right
Okay.
now, just below the bookmark history is the actual bookmark. And because I tapped it a second time, it's no longer, we have no longer bookmarked this page. When I bookmark it is when I tap it again to fill in that ribbon to look completely black.
Tom,
Do
could
we all
I,
see that okay?
yeah, could I ask a question? Is it possible for you to use a cursor rather than your finger? Because I don't, in other words, we could actually see what you're clicking on.
Oh, see, I'm currently using an iPad. I don't have a cursor,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just above the bookmark itself is the history of your bookmarks. I'm gonna go ahead and tap that real quick. So if you notice, by tapping the bookmark history button, it shows that we have one bookmark that was established today at page 20. And then to get rid of that, I'm gonna just tap the little caret to get rid of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create 3 separate bookmarks real quick. Doesn't really matter which pages I bookmark, but I just wanna kind of give you a demonstration. So I just created 3 bookmarks, and if I tap that history button a second time, now it's giving us our bookmark history. So we placed the bookmark today in chapter 1. We placed a bookmark today in chapter 4. We placed a bookmark today in chapter 7.
Are
Now,
those the
Why would I
page?
want to tap, why would I want to tap 3 bookmarks in the same
oh, I'm
book?
just trying to show you how, and I'm just trying to show you the feature. That's all.
No.
I mean, I'm just trying to show a little bit about each feature as best I can in
Okay.
the app. Yeah. You don't have to set any bookmarks if you don't want to, but
Well, if I want to go, if I want to take the book, if I want to just, get out of this app and read the book later on, I have to know what
Right.
page I stopped on.
right. So the reason I set 3 bookmarks is I wanted to show you how to, if you're done with one of them, you can get rid of it by, so like right now, I'm in the 3rd bookmark that I established. That's the one in chapter 7. So if I tap the bookmark history button, it shows me all of my bookmarks. So if I want to get rid of the chapter 1 bookmark, I can tap at the very top of this list, chapter 1. And then to get rid of that bookmark, I just tap on the black part again, it'll disappear. And then if I tap my bookmark history button just above that, now that bookmark is gone.
Mhm.
So my goal with that part of the lesson was to show you that you can create bookmarks and then you can delete them when you're done with them. That's all.
I see that Carol has her hand up. Did you have a question or a comment, Carol?
Yeah, I just put it in chat. Are the numbers to the right of the history page of the bookmarks, the page numbers of the book?
It appears to me that's what they are, yes.
Okay,
I feel the more you work with this app, the more you practice with it.
Just to read
I
a
don't-
book, you got to do this much. It's really
Well, no, I just
complicated.
want to show the features, that's all. Okay,
Tom, can I ask you a question? What you're showing on the screen right this moment, you
Mhm.
got that by simply tapping the center of the page?
right.
Okay.
So what I typically describe is, if you notice the page, the book itself, it's split like a typical print book. You have your text on the left, your text on the right. So I always tell people, pretend that little gap in the middle is the spine of the book. So if you just give it a tap right in the middle, it'll bring up that menu.
So I just want to get an audio book. So I might as well just go down to the library and get an audio book instead of,
Well, you
Go
can
through
also
it
get
with that.
audiobooks through this app.
and then
I'll get to that in
the
just a
audio is
second.
right on the screen. Then the audio book gets right on my computer screen.
So, yep. Let me,
don't have
there's a
to go
couple
on
other
down to
features
the
I want to
library.
show in the
I don't
text
have to
version
go
of a
down
book
to the
real quick.
library if I want it. I don't have to go down to the library if I want to take out an audio book.
No,
right.
so just hang with Tom. He'll get to that. Some of the
Yep.
Okay.
features are on audiobook, like bookmark. but,
Right,
just,
right.
just hang with them. If
I'm
it's
just-
not
I'm just
relevant,
asking. I understand, but now I see that I don't have to. I can ask, I can see whether this is an audio book and go down to the library, or I can continue using this, get the audio book, and I don't have to go down to the library.
Right.
Right. Yep, there are audiobooks available through Libby, yes, for sure. Okay, so basically, I think we've covered bookmarks. And if any questions pop up at the end of this, you could always forward them to Zach, and Zach and I can communicate and try to answer those questions as best as possible as well. So just to the left of the bookmark history button is that magnifying glass. That's if you want to search within the book. So I'm going to type in Alex Cross. See how often Alex Cross's name pops up in this book. So, because I know Alex Cross is one of James Patterson's more popular characters. I'm not sure, maybe he's not in this title, because what I'm seeing is his name appears at the beginning of the book in the books by James Patterson part of the book. So, but that's just an example of how to search within the book. Maybe there was a key phrase in the book that you wanted to revisit. Maybe I'll try homicide.
Mm-hmm.
So if you type the word homicide in there, it'll tell you, okay, so in chapter 1, the word homicide appears about 3 times. Also shows up in chapter 2, chapter 3. And all I'm doing right now is just scrolling with my fingertip to swipe up to see how many times the word homicide appears in this particular book.
So, for example, if you wanted to if they mentioned a character and you
Right.
wanted to remind yourself the first time they was introduced and whatever backstory they say, that you could go back and find that with the search.
That's actually a great example, because that's happened to me before, where they'll introduce a character and then maybe they don't mention that character till later in the book, and I've completely forgotten about that character. So thanks, Zach. I like that example. That makes sense.
Suppose you're reading this book with another person and they say, go to page 63. Can you put page 63 and the book will automatically flip to 63?
We can try that. If you notice the bottom half of the menu, just below the James Patterson #2 logo, there's this little slider bar.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to, this is a little bit trickier. You got to be it's hard to see, but just below where it
I
says
see the
chapter
page.
11, table of contents, do you have these little like lines, these
Yeah.
vertical lines? But one of the vertical lines at the top is much smaller than the rest. If you can tell, that's where you would end up stopping. And I wish I was using a computer with a cursor. I would be able to highlight this line better, but I apologize. But if you notice, I'm going to put it right at number 60. If you can see the number 60.
Yeah.
So I'm stopping at number 60. And if you notice that little part of a line there, that's kind of telling you exactly where you are in the book. If that makes sense. Is that making sense for everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so next, this is actually the next feature I want to highlight, is one of my favorite features in Libby. It's the letter A. Tapping on the letter A, it will allow you to modify how Libby appears to your preferences. So example, text scale. Do you see I moved it from the middle to the far left. Do you see how the change was made?
Yeah.
Put it in the middle, it gets bigger. Put it to the far right, it's even bigger. So this is a way, if you like your text a little bit larger, you can use text scale.
You don't have to use your glasses.
And then if you notice, I tap just below that, it says it says include accessibility sizes. I turn that on. Currently it's turned on. So now you can make it really big if you want to. I'm not sure how well you can read with this, but that's an option. I'm going to turn that back off by tapping on that check mark. We'll recenter that. So here we are. Just below that is lighting. Whoops, apologize. So we have bright, which I think is the default because nothing changed when I tapped on bright. My personal favorite is the middle one, sepia. If you notice, how it's more of a cream color instead of that bright white. In my personal experience, sepia helps me with like less fatigue in my eyes when I'm reading. And then on the left, I'm sorry, the right option, the dark mode, this is not my favorite, but that's what it looks like.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, but it's there if people choose to use it. I'm gonna switch it back. I personally, I like sepia. I'm gonna leave it. Just below the lighting is the book design, and there's different. These are the different fonts. So like if I tap on legible, there was a slight change in the font when I tapped on legible. If I tap on scholar, if you notice scholar, it's a lot different. It doesn't have the serifs. There's a paperback font. And then there's the open dyslexic font, which is for people who experience dyslexia.
Wow.
Wow.
And then I'm going to tap on just below that is custom. So there's additional fonts or typefaces in the custom field. I'm going to tap the very last one. It's called sans serif. And then justification, typically, I don't personally play with the justification very often, but I think when I read, I leave it at on justified, not the left. I don't use left, I use just justified. Line spacing, I actually like 1.5. And for the weight of the font, I do actually like to turn on the heavy weight, because it makes it more bold. I actually like how that looks personally. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse that. So here we are. That was all those features. And I definitely encourage you on your own to explore these and determine which one works best for you. But those are all found under that letter A in the top right corner. And yes?
On the lighting, when you clicked bright, there was no way to adjust how bright or light it was. Is there a way to do that?
Well, from here, I think you'd probably want to go into your personal devices settings to adjust the brightness, if that makes sense.
I'm asking this because I know on the Nook I can adjust that, and it's very useful. Sometimes.
Like the Nook, is it like a backlit Nook?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like, so the question you're addressing is, the best I can do as far as in the Libby app itself is just adjust it between bright, sepia, or dark.
Okay.
People, if they want to adjust the brightness outside of that, they're gonna have to just go into their own device's settings to adjust that brightness as well, which you can do. I mean, I can kind of demonstrate that on this iPad real quick. So if I go to the iPad, there's a setting for display and brightness. So right now it's about halfway through. I can just drag this. So this is an example of how you can go into your own personal device settings and play with those settings. But for the app itself, these are what we have to choose from.
And then
Right.
can I ask, is the sepia, is that, you know how they say you're not supposed to be looking at blue light at night, it interferes with sleeping, that kind of thing. Does the sepia actually make a difference in that, or is it just a different color?
That's a good question. It's kind of hard for me to answer. Like I prefer sepia because I do feel that my eyes don't get as tired as quickly with sepia, but my glasses also have the blue blocker built into the lenses. So I'm not quite sure how if I can answer that
Okay.
as far as because I have blue blocking on a couple of different levels. Like you can change the blue blocking in your device's settings. You can change it here. And then, like I said, they're my lenses of my glasses. So my glasses are supposedly already blocking the blue for me.
Okay.
collapse this. Okay, so we covered the bookmarks, the magnifying glass, the letter A, and then there's that circle with the lines in the middle of it. And what this does, it changes. You can read like this, whereas it's just one column, I guess I'll call it, versus what people are probably more used to with a traditional book. They have the left page, the right page, and the
Oh, that's good.
spine in the middle. So if you prefer this style, you don't have to do anything because I think it's the default. But if you'd rather have just one column, tap on that circle, it'll switch over.
So wait, I'm sorry, I can't see where you're tapping. Could you
The
explain? where
circle with the
you're tapping?
lines in it.
Right in the top right corner, just to the left of the letter
Oh,
A,
gotcha. Okay, yep.
there's that circle. So this will, you can either have one column or two columns. And I'm pretty sure the default is the one column, because this is what people are typically used to when they're reading. They have text on the left, a spine, and text on the right. But maybe if you're reading on your phone, I mean, because phones are getting bigger and bigger these days, so you could potentially read a book on your phone if you wanted to. You wouldn't necessarily want two columns on your phone. You would rather probably have one column on your phone.
How would you get that other column then? The other side of the page.
Just by switching between that circle with the lines in the middle, you're gonna switch between one column or two.
But when you want to get, say you want to get the first column, then you want to get the second page that's
Oh, you just,
there.
if you're gonna read with just one column, at this point, you're turning pages by swiping on the screen with your fingertip,
Oh,
back and
you-
forth.
so you're swiping, so you're swiping the next to the next side, next page. Okay.
Right.
I understand.
Right.
Sorry.
I typically do the two column on a tablet, but after trying it this way, I might change how I feel about that, because this isn't too bad.
Look nice.
I'm just used to like looking at a book the old fashioned way of having a paper book in front of me with left and right. Okay. So here we are. We've covered the bookmarks, the magnifying glass, the letter A, and the columns. I'm going to leave the menu open and tap on the top left corner. I'm going to tap the word back. So here, by tapping the word back, we went back to our our bookshelf. Let's cover a couple things on the bookshelf real quick. If you notice at the bottom of the screen where those menus are, the magnifying glass, the library building, the hamburger menu, and the two books that are stacked together, we're looking at our bookshelf. And so those two books that are stacked together, those are the ones that are highlighted in blue and green. So that's basically the shortcut to get to your bookshelf. So to kind of give you an example how that works, I'm going to go ahead and tap on the library building and leave the bookshelf real quick. So I left the bookshelf to look at the Finger Lakes Library System by tapping on the library. So to go back to the bookshelf, I'm just going to tap on those two stacked books. And now we're back to our bookshelf. Now on your bookshelf, if you know, just below the word shelf, it says loans, holds, and tags. So currently we're looking at our loans because it says right at the top here, recent loans. If I tap on holds, I have personally, I have one book on hold, and this is for my 6-year-old. He likes the Cat Kid Comic Book Club books, so we're waiting excitedly for that book. And then to get back to my shelf, just above where it says your hold, I'm going to tap that left arrow. So we have loans. Tap the left arrow to go back. We have holds.
Suppose I want to get back to the original amount of all the books by that author.
We'd have to we could redo the search. We could go back to James. In fact, I was going to go back to searching for James Patterson because I showed you how to use the features in a book to read. I didn't show you how to use the features in a book to listen to. So we can do that next if you'd like.
Okay.
So let's go back to the magnifying glass. So here we go. Okay, here we go. So we went back to the magnifying glass and it still has James Patterson's name populated in the search field. So I'm just going to go ahead and rerun that search by tapping on the magnifying glass on the right of the screen. So we're searching for Patterson. Now, one thing I didn't show you at the beginning, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you right now is right below, it says everything matching James Patterson. And below that, it says listing 119 audiobooks, 119 audiobooks, 88 books. Now, if you know for sure you're not interested in any of the 88 books that you would read, you want to only listen to the audiobooks, you can actually tap right on where it says 119 audiobooks and it will filter out all of those ebooks. I'm going to do that real quick by tapping on 119 audiobooks. So for right now, it's showing us just the audiobooks. Now, a lot of the other things we've already talked about. We talked about, it says place hold, so we can't really borrow that
By
right
the
now.
title.
You can search by author or title.
Title
That's a
one.
good question. Yes.
I want.
I used author because I knew I was going to get a bunch of results by searching for James Patterson because he's so popular.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking at the screen, the first book I see available to borrow, because everything else says place holds as I scroll, is Double Cross. And again, we can borrow it two ways. I can borrow it by tapping on the word borrow to the right of the cover artwork. Or going back a step, I can tap on the cover artwork itself to get the book's information. And then borrow it from here, just below the cover artwork where it says borrow. I'm going to go ahead and click borrow here. And then I'm going to click the purple borrow button. And again, I'm focusing at this point on that teal colored dial that indicates whether or not the book is downloading. It's just to the left of the cover artwork. Right now it's spinning.
That means it's still working.
Right. Let's see if I can help it by tapping on it.
No.
That's books. The audiobook files are a bit bigger, so they might take a little bit longer to download. But here we go. As you can tell at this point, it's going in a clockwise motion, but it is definitely taking a long time.
Might be a fat book.
Okay. So I guess we just have to wait patiently for this to download.
While it's doing that, for some reason, when I went to press on the 119 audiobooks, I came up on page 2 and I can't get back to page 1. I'm clicking on page 1, but it won't actually show me the page.
Okay, let me see. What type of device are you using?
I'm using a smartphone. It's a
Okay. Interesting.
Does
Okay.
anybody- Yeah, see the little 2 arrows on the right-hand side next to page 2 of 5?
Yeah.
Okay, I pressed on that and I
Oh.
pressed on the page 1, but it wouldn't go to page 1. And I was wondering if you knew if there was a trick to
Interesting.
that.
Yeah. I'm trying what you're talking about right now, and you're right. Did it? Okay. Let me see if I can find that little double arrow again. It seems like you might have to just tap it just right, because it definitely, it takes me multiple taps for it to get back to page 1.
Okay,
That's a good question. I don't know how you feel, but it might be just simpler to just scroll with your fingertip on the phone screen than to use those arrows.
yeah, no, it won't let me scroll. That's all right. It might be my phone. It's pretty
Okay,
ridiculous phone anyway.
okay. But otherwise, you might have to tap it just, I mean, like I said, it's taking me a couple of tries of tapping for it to do anything, for it to respond. But, okay. So let's check on that book. Come on, I'm trying to go to 2.
page 3.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to page 1. Start from the top here. Okay, let's find that book again. Okay, so as we're looking at our search results screen again, we can still tell on the right side, double cross is still waiting to be downloaded completely. So I'm trying to think of something I can talk about while this is downloading.
How about refining the searches? I find that to be useful.
Sure.
You can search based on what's available by type of book and all sorts.
Yes, thank you. So one thing I'm gonna point out real quick also is focusing on in the blue area on the left of the screen, just below where it says James Patterson, it says listing 119 audiobooks. It's a little hard to see, but just to the right of the S is that little X. So if you wanted to bring your search results back to include both the audiobooks and the ebooks, if you tap on the X, it'll clear out that filter and show us everything again. So now it's back to 119 audiobooks and 88 ebooks. So Zach is referring to the refine filter on the right side of the screen, still in the blue portion of the screen. So if we tap on refine, format. So we have choices for format, we have audiobooks and we have books. So that's another way to, like if we wanted to filter out the ebooks and just look at the audiobooks, we could tap on audiobooks. Boop. Oh, and I tapped it too quickly. Sorry about that. Or maybe we want to see both. Tap the X to get rid of that filter. Now it's showing us both. Refine. Here's one that might be helpful. The refine at the very bottom, it says availability and it says everything. I'm going to tap on that. So right now, if I do a search, it shows me everything, including the books that are currently borrowed. So maybe when you're scrolling, you're getting tired of seeing where it says place a hold all the time. You could just tap on available now. And so if you tap on available now under refine, this is going to show you pretty much anything that you see on this screen is available to borrow right away. It won't say place hold. That's not a bad feature to take advantage of, but I always encourage people to start your search with everything. That way, because you might miss a title or two if you do that filter. And if you're not aware that title exists, you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't know in the future to either place a hold on it or check it out. But that is a helpful filter under refine, the availability filter. Subject, let's see. Oh, okay, subject. I don't usually use that filter very much. But here's something interesting. Then maybe you didn't, I wasn't personally aware that James Patterson, searching for James Patterson would have results under science fiction. If you're a science fiction fan, you could tap on that.
But there might not,
You can see, right?
Huh.
I'm gonna turn it off. Hold on. Can't say there.
And I feel like some of these titles, these science fiction-y titles by Patterson, I think he's written them for like a teen audience,
Oh, it's Zoom.
but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't enjoy them also.
Know what?
Okay.
I'm gonna turn it off. Okay, I have that.
Okay.
Hey, Tom,
You haven't gotten to, you
Tom,
haven't
you
gotten
might
to
want-
when,
Tom, you might want to mute Amy there if she's got another conversation going on.
Oh, I apologize. Yep.
Sorry, I had a phone call I needed to take. Are you gonna be finished soon? Okay, they can't hear me.
Am I going to be finished soon?
Yes, you're gonna be finished soon? Should I call this person back?
Put the person back.
Do you mind if I just put you on mute for a brief moment while you?
Oh, yeah, put me on mute. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
I'd like to ask a question. If I'm at the audio books, I've gotten the audio book out you haven't completed that, but I've got the audio book out and I read it and I want to return it. Can I return it through this system?
Yes. Yep. Let me actually, I'll cover that
You
right
haven't
now,
shown
in
me
fact. So here we are, we're looking at the James Patterson search results page. At the very bottom where our primary menu is, I'm gonna go and tap that stack of 2 books. And I can cover that question right now. So I'm focusing at this point on the title Second Chance. That's the
Second
book that we
Chance.
borrowed first. That's a text-based book. So the question is, how do I return it early if I'm finished with it? If you notice to the right of the cover artwork, it says Manage Loan. I'm going to tap on Manage Loan. And then there's the option to return early. So I'm going to go ahead and just tap Return Early. And then basically this is
And
making
right
sure
return.
I do indeed want to return it early. So I'm going to go ahead and tap that purple return button. Okay, so we return that book early. I'm going to go back to my shelf.
And now we're shut
And
that book. Yeah.
the audio book is about 75% completed.
Sure, taking
So
a
let's go
long
back.
time.
I'm going to go back to that search screen for James Patterson real quick. While that wraps up downloading. So Zach had brought up the refine on the right side of the screen. If you drag your eyes from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen, there's another feature called preferences with that plus sign. If you tap on preferences, it's similar to refine. So maybe you have a smartphone and you know for sure you never ever want to read on the smartphone. You only want to listen. So for format, you can tap on any and switch it from any, switch it to audiobooks. Audience.
But you could also put down, if you want to put it on all, you'd press all for all kinds audio and reading books.
Right, you can do any. Well, yeah, you'd want to switch it back to any.
Any.
Yep.
That's
So for format, that's
any-
whether you want to read or listen.
the format for reading and listening is any.
Well, there are no books on Libby that you can borrow that would have the option of, like, within one book itself, it's either going to be a book to read or a book to listen to.
Mhm.
So if you want to have the option to see search results for both books to read and listen to, just leave it as any.
Okay.
But if at some point you know for sure, I'm not going to read
Now,
on,
I know what you mean. You don't have to.
so I'm going to just go ahead and do this with the audiobooks. Because the key thing, once you change your preference, you can switch languages too if you want to. I'm going to leave that alone. I just wanted to show you that you
Yeah,
can
English.
definitely.
Wow. Jesus.
My goodness,
Excellent.
look at all those languages.
Yeah.
So you
Well,
can
some
definitely
of the
switch
books aren't
languages if you want to.
Huh.
There's also audiences. So maybe you have a grandchild that you have a special device that only the grandchild uses. You can switch this to juvenile if you wanted to.
So if the child knows how to use it, they could sneak.
That's true.
You see, have to program, have to make sure your kid's not doing the wrong thing.
Now the key,
Oh, yeah.
pardon me, but the key before you do anything else is if you switch any of these preferences at the very bottom, there's a black little like oval shape, apply preferences. If you don't tap that apply preferences button, none of your changes will take effect. So you got to make sure you tap apply preferences first.
So I wonder if you can put any lock for a kid that's going to use the book so he doesn't check a wrong preference.
Tom?
And-
Um,
Yes,
We're having a connection.
I'm not
problem.
getting all the options that you're talking about. So for instance, when I go to, oh dear, no, I'm really off here. When
Now
I
you
go to
have a
format,
Having
you had
connection problem.
shown, when you went to format, it showed audiobooks, books, and magazines, and I only have 2. And when I only get audiobooks and books. And then when I go to language, for instance, all that appears is English. Is that because I'm looking on a phone rather than onto my computer?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. And like someone else noticed, on my end, it keeps telling me that I'm having connection problems.
Oh, that's you.
I'm not
Okay.
sure what's happening here. I might close the Libby app because if I'm having connection problems, I would think that would affect the Zoom as well, but you are all still able to hear me. So I might
We
just
could
quick
see
close
that.
Libby
You
and
have to look
restart it
at
real
that.
quick.
Mm.
Let me give Libby a restart, see if that helps. Okay. I'll go back.
No, not really.
I'm gonna have to come down to the library and have somebody walk me through it.
Well, bring your card. Right.
Interesting.
Huh.
I'm not sure.
Correct. Help support.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I suppose coincidentally, it is possible that I'm gonna try it. I have my own personal phone here. Let me just see what's happening real quick. Let me see. I apologize. What's happening here? It's also happening on my phone. So this could be
The library.
an inopportune moment for Overdrive and the Finger Lakes Library System to be having communication problems.
Mhm,
Because it appears something's going on.
mhm.
Okay. So I might not be able to show you that most recent question about why you were not able to see the different language options and things like that.
Yep.
But
You were doing, okay, you were doing things about the audio. Is there anything more I have to do, learn about audio?
Yes,
yeah, well,
there is.
That's what I wanted to know.
right.
Oh,
So what I
oh.
was focusing on was just being able to set those preferences, and that's what the most recent question was about. Like she was not seeing certain preferences that I was
Yeah,
seeing,
no, I saw that.
but I can't get into that right now. But what I think I might be able to show you real quick,
Oh, wait,
because it
Tom,
looks like, at least on my bookshelf, I have the double cross book, and it looks like it's completely downloaded at this point. And if it's downloaded to the app, I should be able to play it.
That's what happened.
So I'm gonna give this a try and play the book. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to block the camera there. Boop. Let's see. Okay, so here we are. I open the book. Did anybody, I might have done that a little quickly. So basically from the shelf page to open your audiobook, it's just like opening your ebook. You tap on the cover artwork.
Okay,
Okay, so here we are. We have James Patterson double cross, and right in the middle of the screen is the triangle play button. So to get started, you just tap the triangle and it's gonna start talking at us.
Hachette Audio presents Double Cross, written by James Patterson and read by Peter J. Fernandez and Michael Stuhlbarg.
I'm gonna press pause now. It's those lines in the middle there.
there's pause. Okay,
Did everybody hear that okay?
yes,
Okay, so
Yeah.
audiobooks on your phone with Libby is as simple as you tap on the cover artwork, you tap the triangle to play.
but now suppose you,
Prologue. In
I'm
your
sorry?
well, you're playing that. Suppose you want to want to skip the prologue and you want to start the book. How do you know where to do that?
Sure. Real quick, to the left and right of the triangle, you can fast forward or rewind at 15-second increments. So I can tap,
That's it, the 15.
yep. So I can go forward 15 seconds at a time. I can go backwards 15 seconds at a time.
So you have to keep on playing till you got up to where the beginning of the book. Don't they tell you where's the table?
Not necessarily, because just below the triangle
This
where
is
it
table
says
of contents.
prologue, it says table of contents.
Yes, I see that.
So if you tap on table of contents, the little menu will pop up and then you can like skip right to
Then I
chapter
can
one if you
tap on
want to.
chapter
That's
one
about
and it'll go on chapter one.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
go away. So here, so now if you notice, just below the triangle, instead of saying, there isn't any text saying
It says
prologue,
chapter
it
one.
says chapter one. So similarly, if I tap on table of contents, it's
But so now suppose you want to go to a certain page that you stopped at.
Hmm.
it's not our chapter. Similar to the example we use when you asked that question about the print books. There's
Yeah,
that
but they
little
go-
slider at the bottom.
Yeah, I see that. But
It's just
that's
below.
that's by minutes. It's not by pages.
Right. Well, I mean, it's an audiobook. I'm not sure.
So how do you bookmark? How do you bookmark it so you can get back to, if you want, you're reading it, you stop it, you have it on pause. Does it stay on
Right.
pause all the time, even when you've
Yep.
gotten off the computer or off your telephone and using your telephone for other things, and then an hour later you want to go back to the book?
Sure. So I'm gonna go to chapter one. Okay, so we're at chapter one. I'm gonna press the play button, let it talk a little bit.
Part 1. All the World's a Stage. Chapter
Okay, let's
1.
pause it there. So similar to the books that you read, in the top right corner of the app are those bookmark features.
I don't see it.
I don't
I
see
just see
it.
people.
I see a line.
Oh, you might, so this happened yesterday when I was helping someone with an audiobook yesterday. Their Zoom chat window was blocking the bookmark
Right.
icon. If you're able to slide it, if you see people there, you might want to drag that window out of the way.
Okay, I just did. I still don't see it.
Mhm. Now it's gone.
Okay.
I don't see anything saying, now my people are on the left-hand side where it says record. And
Hmm.
there's nothing on,
Okay. I wonder if it would help if I maybe rotate the screen on my iPad real quick. Let's see. If I rotate this,
nope.
so
Hmm.
I'm still focusing on the top right of the app itself.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
Oh, that was better. Shoot, I lost it.
It says -7,
Okay.
56.
Right,
58.
right. That's the
2%.
time. So I mean, on my screen, just above it, I see the bookmark and the
No.
bookmark history
No.
options.
Don't
No
see.
one else is seeing those?
I do,
No.
I see them on my.
I
computer.
do.
Okay, so some are and some aren't.
Oh, now I see it. Okay. But
Okay.
my screen, oh, it's because I have,
Okay.
I know why. My phone is running out of energy.
Right.
Go ahead.
So just like the text-based version of a book, you can bookmark and keep track of your bookmark history by tapping. So like if I tap the bookmark button at the beginning of chapter one, instead of a black outline or a white outline, it's gonna fill in solid white.
Hmm.
Did folks see that okay?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, good. And just to the right of that bookmark is the bookmark history option. And I feel like does anybody have questions about the bookmark history
so I tap
feature?
on the
'Cause
bookmark
we
history.
talked about that quite a bit the first time around. So if no one has questions about the bookmark history right now, I was gonna kind of focus on the next two features that are specific to the audiobook. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, so going from right to left, we have bookmark history, and then we have that crescent moon. The crescent moon is your sleep timer. So if you're getting ready for bed, but you want to listen to the book, maybe you want to listen to the book for 30 minutes before you fall asleep, but you don't want to continue reading while you fall asleep. So you can set a sleep timer for 30 minutes
That's good.
or
Yeah.
60 minutes or 15 minutes. And apparently the chapter is about to end in 3 minutes, so you could do it till the end of the, that's the neat little feature. I don't do a lot of audiobooks personally, so, but maybe you know you're about to get ready for bed and you just want to make it to the end of the chapter, you could choose the 3-minute end of chapter option.
Hmm.
Or you can turn it off if you want to. And then the next feature, just to the left of the crescent moon,
So
that's a
if you
playback.
have- If you have that sleep option, suppose you want to turn it off, when you go back into the book or you go back into the same spot,
Oh, you're saying where you left off?
yes,
I think so. I mean, if the sleep timer is turned on, but you haven't actually started the playback of the book and then you turn it back off, I mean, the book will be where you leave it until you tap that play button. Does that make, am I answering your question?
no, I don't understand, you're getting confusing.
That's
No,
not
I-
true.
Go ahead. Person was talking, go ahead.
Yeah, that was me. If someone else had a thought to answer that question, maybe I
Well-
misunderstand the question.
The question
I've-
was, I've now finished reading, I finished reading page 50 and I'm going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I go, will the whole thing turn off or will the book still be on my device?
The book will be on your device.
Now, so when I turn it back on, how do I turn it back on again? I want to continue reading.
You would just tap the play button.
Right.
Now, suppose I just close the selection. Will I get back to the book at the same spot? Like when you have a tape, you turn off the tape, it goes
Right.
back on the same spot.
That's not what I,
No, that's not true. It goes all the way back to the beginning.
no,
on
it
my
just,
tape.
it wanders back,
Yes, goes
It
back.
goes back to the
Mhm.
beginning.
Right.
not to the beginning. No, not to the beginning.
Yep, that's what I hate.
Goes
yeah.
back a chapter, 2
Well,
chapters.
for mine, yes.
I've actually personally, I've
It
seen
goes
it
back to
happen.
the beginning of the tape.
I've had a couple different experiences. This is why I've actually gotten into the habit of making sure I do set that bookmark before I do close the Libby app.
So when you set the bookmark, then it'll go back to the page that you.
Right.
Right.
And
Okay.
sometimes, and I can't explain why, sometimes when I open the book back up and after I've set the bookmark, it's not where I left it. So that's why it's good to set the bookmark, because then you have the bookmark history just to the left of the bookmark.
Mhm.
So
Right.
if I set a bookmark on page 20, but I open the book back up and, oh, why is it on page 10? I set the bookmark for page 20. I can go into the bookmark history and get back to that bookmark at page 20. I mean, I've seen it behave strangely like that in the past. I don't really have a great explanation why it behaves like that. Because there's definitely been times where I've been reading, I stop, I close the Libby app, a couple hours later, I open it back up and it's exactly where I left it. But there's been other times where it isn't exactly where I left it. So that's why I got in the habit of using the bookmark feature,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay. So just to the left of that crescent moon is the playback speed. So I'm going to show you that feature real quick. First, I'm going to press play just so we can get used to how the book sounds at normal playback speed.
Washington, D.C. The first story, a thriller, involved an Iraqi soldier and a crime writer.
Okay, so
This
that's normal
soldier was-
playback speed. Now, if I tap that dial to the left of the crescent moon, we can choose to speed up our playback
Oh.
speed if we want to. So I'm going to do 1.5 normal speed to start. I'm going to press play.
Observing a 20-story luxury apartment building, and he was thinking,
So,
so this
it's
is how the
clearly
rich and famous
faster.
live. Stupidly at best, and very
Now, to
dangerously
give
for
you an extreme example of playback speed, we can do 200 or 2 times the normal speed, and it's going to sound super fast.
He began his checklist of possibilities for a break-in. The service entrance at the back of the super luxury Riverwalk apartment building was rarely, if ever, used by the residents, or even by their sullen lackey.
Why do you
So-
want that feature?
I'm guessing the reason they make that an option is because some people just want to get through the books faster than others. I don't use it personally.
And I've
Yeah,
been
it's-
listening to the book.
Right, right. And I don't really know why anybody would read it at 2 times the regular speed.
Why not?
Unless they're. I'm sorry?
Because
Zach,
I
did
can't
you say that
understand
you,
it. 2 times
Zach, do
the
you
speed.
read a lot of audiobooks? Is that what you were saying?
No, he doesn't read any.
Yeah, I do audio mostly, and
Do you ever play with the playback speed feature? I'm just
I
curious.
do. I do.
I haven't. I do on YouTube once in a while, but
Okay.
I mean, two times was ridiculous for that particular book. There might be some books that you could understand, but
Right.
generally, I don't worry about it.
I mean, the only thing I could just think of is maybe if someone's a student and they have like the like the photographic memory, which might not even be like a good example because photographic usually is like a visual memory. But if someone who has a really good memory can listen to a book at that playback speed, maybe they can get a lot of information crammed into their brain quickly. I suppose that's one reason.
So I think I'm going to leave now, okay? I have to go. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for stopping by and joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back a second here and see if. So it looks like the Finger Lakes Library System and Overdrive and Libby are still not communicating very well with each other.
Okay.
But I feel like we've covered a lot of information. Does anyone have any general questions?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have 2 general questions.
Okay,
One is, my understanding is that anybody who lives in New York State can get into the New York Public Library.
yes,
And I just added it to my app on my phone. And then it's sign in with my card. So do I
Right.
sign in with my Tompkins County card, or do I have to apply for New York Library card?
you'd want to apply for New York Library card, and soon, give me 1 second. I'm gonna stop using Libby for a second. Open up Safari. So what I did was, if I do a Google search real quick, is everybody still seeing this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So visit Google and search getting an NYPL card. And the top link says get a free card today. So from this page, apply for a library card online. Residents 13 years of age and older can get a digital card through our online card application. And if you notice the online card application part, that's underlined. So if you click or tap on that, it takes you to apply for a library card online. And at this point, you would want to tap that blue Get Started button, bottom left of the screen. And then you just start providing your information. And from here, I already have a New York Public Library card, so I'm not going to be able to go any further with this.
Okay, yeah.
But I would definitely encourage anyone interested in this and following those steps. In fact, Zach, if you want, I can email a couple of these links to you. That way you can share them with everybody. Does that sound good?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Because when I got my New York my New York Public Library card, it was a little bit different a few years ago, where I filled out the application online like I would do right here, and then they actually mailed me a physical card in the mail. And when I received that card in the mail, I had to give I think what I ended up doing is I scanned my driver's license, or I took a picture of it with my smartphone, and I emailed it back to New York Public Library. I'm not 100% sure if that's still the same part of the process, but because I've already completed this form once, I didn't want to necessarily go through it again. But I will send these links to Zach so he can get these links out to you folks, and you can try it. But the good news is, once you have that New York Public Library card, you will have access to all of their ebooks as well.
Wow.
Okay, so So if you wanted to, oh, let's say I was visiting Rochester or something and I wanted to get a library, a book out of there. You have to have a card for every single individual city, is that right?
Pretty well, each library system, yes. The good news is Overdrive, which supplies library ebooks through the Libby app. If a library in this country offers ebooks, they're going to use Overdrive to do so. So like if you visit, I believe it'd be the Monroe County Public Library out in Rochester area. Like Syracuse is part of the Onondaga County Public Library. So each of these systems uses Overdrive. So if you can get a card at each of those systems, then yes, you can enter those card details into Libby and have access to their ebook collections as well.
Okay, so they would let you do that even if you don't live in that region?
Well, that's up to them. You
Oh,
like
okay.
using my library as an example.
Mhm.
When I first started working here in 2013, if you didn't live in Tompkins County, then there was actually a fee to pay to get a library card. We have since dropped that fee. We don't ask that. I mean, but non-Tompkins County cardholders, I believe, might have limited access to our materials. I don't think we limit the ebook portion of it, but so that would depend on each individual library system. So if you are in the Rochester area and you visit one of their libraries, they're going to have their own set of policies as far as who they allow gets a library card at their system.
Okay,
But it wouldn't hurt to ask if you're in Rochester on a regular basis. I don't think it would hurt to explore the option of getting one of their cards, because that would just allow you to access more ebooks through Libby once you have it.
okay, my other question, General, was an ebook. When they first came out, I was teaching and I thought that ordering an ebook for my library would allow more than one person to read it, but that's not the case, is it?
Right. So basically, I'm going to compare borrowing ebooks to subscribing to Netflix. So people subscribe to Netflix or Disney Plus, one of those television streaming services. You're paying a subscription fee, and you can watch the same movie at the same time I'm watching a movie.
Mhm.
With ebooks, we do order X number of books or X number of copies of each book. So like maybe one of those James Patterson books that we were looking at, we might have 2 copies of that book that we bought specifically for ebooks versus another title, maybe we only purchased 1 copy. So in that regard, it's a lot like the physical books. If we buy multiple copies, then we can circulate multiple ebooks of that. But if we only buy 1 copy, then we're limited to that 1 copy. That's why we noticed when we were looking at the James Patterson titles, a lot of them, especially the audiobooks, a lot of them said place hold, because we only have a certain number of copies of those titles.
Okay.
The reasoning behind this is the publishers. The publishers don't want libraries to buy 1 copy of the book and just make it readily available to thousands of people at the same time.
So
They
it's not a
probably lose.
technical issue, it's a marketing issue.
Yeah. But yeah, I will definitely email Zach the New York Public Library information. That way he can get it to you folks.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much. I have to leave, but thank you. Very helpful.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I think I might go back into Zoom at this point and stop my share. Oh, so we're down to 3 folks here. But I think that this might be I mean, I'm not sure what happened with the connection between our library and Overdrive, but this, I feel like we were able to cover quite a bit. So
Yeah, I think we hit the important things. I mean, at this point, everyone should be able to find and get a book, either audio or
right,
not.
right.
I mean, the New York Library information would be great.
Yeah, I'll send that along. Do you want me to go ahead and switch you back to the host real quick, Zach?
Oh, well, I don't think it really matters. Is there anything that Carol, do you have anything that you want to add or question?
This was very helpful. I've used Overdrive before. I had trouble getting in, but there were little details that I didn't understand about the audiobook, so this was great.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that we were able to help, and any little piece of information that is valuable to me, that makes this a worthwhile collaboration. So I'm glad that we were able to do that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. And
All
then
right,
Zach, yep, thank you for stopping by.
See you, Carol.
Take care.
And then Zach, if we need to do like a refresher down the road, that would be okay too.
That might be a good idea to give, have be able to get in and then play around with it enough to get some questions and then
Mhm.
come back, or maybe there's
Right.
didn't attend today. So thanks for the option. I'll keep that in mind for a few months from now. Did we freeze up? Did all of us freeze up? All right, Tom. I say goodbye, even though I think you're not going to hear me. So long.